Hey everybody, this is Chad Michael, your friendly Tulsa Community College mental health counselor, and today I'm coming to you during Mindfulness Week again. If you've been participating in the mindfulness activities, then hopefully you have a basic understanding of what mindfulness is. And essentially, mindfulness is being more aware of the present moment, more aware of your thoughts, your feelings, the physical sensations in your body, the surroundings, your current surroundings. You're more mindful of what's happening at this particular moment in your life. In other words, you're not walking around mindless, totally consumed by thoughts, not even aware of what is actually occurring in your life at that moment. That's called being more mindful, the practice of mindfulness. So you've already done a few activities, you've seen a few videos. Hopefully you've been able to dabble your toes in the water of mindfulness. Today, we're going to do something that most people consider extremely simple and most people take for granted. We are going to take a mindfulness walk. Now, before I go any further, I definitely want to recognize the fact that many people don't have full mobility in their legs or don't have the use of their legs. And I don't mean to exclude anybody when I talk about mindful walking. I'm trying to prove a point about doing something that we take for granted on a daily basis. So what I'm going to describe today can really be applied to any type of movement that's appropriate for you. I'm just using mindful walking as an example. Okay, so when we take a mindful walk, ideally, you're outdoors, you're in nature, you're in an environment that is somewhat relaxing to you, but not required. You can be inside as well. The whole point of a mindful walk is to slow down and appreciate all the nuances that go into something that we typically take for granted. And so I'm going to encourage you to take off your shoes when you practice this, and I'm going to forewarn you right now, you will feel silly when you do this. And if somebody is watching you, you probably will look silly. That's okay. That's all right. So, what does it mean and what do we do when we take a mindful walk? Well, first and foremost, ideally your shoes are off, but they don't have to be. Secondly, instead of just sort of mindlessly walking to your next destination with your mind just sort of wandering about all the things you need to do or all the things you're going to do when you get to your destination, a mindful walk involves just being mindful of the act of walking. And so there's not a right or wrong way to do this, but what I'm going to encourage you to do is to just sort of stand up straight, allow your body to sort of relax a little bit, and then instead of just using your momentum and moving forward, I want you to slow down the process of walking dramatically. Whatever leg you choose to lift first, I want you to do it slowly and intentionally. And pay attention to all the things that are happening in your body. For example, your joints moving, the muscles that are engaged to do something as simple as lift up, for example, your right leg and begin to take your first step. The coordination that's involved. And maybe you don't let that foot move forward and plant to the ground yet. Maybe you sort of slowly hold it in the air or slowly sort of let that process unfold, noticing as you lower your leg and your foot to the ground, your heel making contact with the surface of the ground, right? Maybe you notice the ball of your feet rolling over, and then you notice your toes making contact with the ground. And through that process, you're becoming more aware of all of these things that are happening in your body, right? This increased use of balance, this heightened awareness of all the muscles that are engaging in parts of our body that we typically take for granted. Maybe you take that first step and you pause. And then, since we started with our right leg, maybe you engage your left leg into the next step. But again, you're doing it slowly and you're noticing all the nuances that take place as you begin to engage your left leg. You're probably going to notice that if you really slow down this thing we typically take for granted, walking, you're going to notice walking is a lot harder than you gave it credit. You're going to notice that your balance is off. You're going to notice that without the use of momentum, it's actually somewhat challenging to walk in a very slow and intentional way. But you're also going to have a much deeper, richer appreciation for all the things that your body and your brain are able to do together, and for all the sensations that you experience as we do something as simple as walking when we're being mindful. When we're mindless, or when our mind has completely dominated us and we walk as fast as we can just to get to the next destination, we tend to ignore or be oblivious to all of the things happening in our body. In other words, we're anticipating the future, remembering the past, or daydreaming about an alternate reality. All of those things take us from the present moment. So, if you would like to engage in this mindfulness activity, I encourage you to do it in a place where you're comfortable. Ideally it's outside, and ideally it's barefoot, just so you can get a better feeling for all the sensations, but by no means required. If you just slow down and pay attention to all the wonderful things that are unfolding from a sensation perspective, from a coordination perspective, from a muscular perspective, you're going to experience walking in a way that you never have before. That's called mindful walking. Again, this doesn't have to just be applied with walking, but the idea is that we start paying more attention to things in life that we generally take for granted, and we're not mindful at all when practicing. So this is an opportunity for you to potentially look weird, to potentially feel a little uncomfortable, but to grow in your practice of being more mindful, more aware of the present moment, more aware of your thoughts, feelings, surroundings, and bodily sensations. I encourage you to give it a shot. Thanks for listening today, and may you have a more mindful walk or movement of your choice in the future. Again, I'm Chad Michael with Tulsa Community College, your friendly mental health counselor. Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody.